beautiful soul. Welcome to the Creative Free Podcast. I am your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. And you're here because the words created free sound good, but you're working on making it more of a reality in your life. So stick around as we discuss and challenge all that we know and feel about relationships, religion, business, spirituality, emotions, and so much more. Whatever life is throwing at us, okay? It's a topic of discussion. And then watch me show how this is impacting the way that you're showing up as an entrepreneur. So we're going to be challenging authenticity, and we're going to get to the root of who we really are and what we desire, and make sure we're doing everything that we can to manifest a life that we love. All right, so let's get into it. What's going on, beautiful people? So today's topic is endure the test or rest. I put a post up and I basically just said that entrepreneurship already comes with so many twists and turns that the last thing that most of you all can afford is inaction. And so I want to illustrate for you all the difference between a test being your character builder versus rest being your character builder. And nobody really knows the answer to the question but you. But I'm going to tell two different sides of a story for me, and you can see what naturally resonates in your own soul. Because it's easy, right? When somebody else, says things to us and they could just feel really good, and because it's what you want to hear. But I want you to pay attention to that visceral response that comes that you weren't even looking for, so that you can distinguish between the two. I will go ahead and put a little bit of a bias up in here. If you're at the beginning of your journey, then honestly, you may be leaning towards the side of enduring the test. But for those of you that are building your business while you're also working a job, some of you may need the rest because you may be trying too hard to build the business to try to get the rest that you need to get from the job and all of the other emotional bullshit that you're going through. So ultimately, when I decided to become a coach, I had already spent about a year, maybe a little more than a year, in what I would call my wilderness experience. I just knew when I was in high school, after I graduated, that it didn't make sense to go get a degree and to get a job. I was learning how to make money doing hair, and I had did that for a little bit over 20 years. And for those of you that know my story, I let that go, left St. Louis City, and moved to Houston, Texas with my husband, knowing that I would not be doing hair, thinking that I would be taking my jewelry business to the next level, also thinking that one of my children would also be doing that with me because it was a creative muscle that we both use, only to get there and realize that that wasn't my passion. And I spent about, like I said, a little over a year doing courier work for medical facilities, delivering anything from luggage to food with, companies like Uber Eats, and doing regular Uber. I just was hustling. I just remember one day, praying and saying, God, I am in the rat race of working for somebody else, even though most of the jobs are independent contractor. I'm still dependent on somebody else's systems, the way that they think. What am I supposed to do? And we won't get into all of the details of the spiritual epiphanies, but it hit me that I was supposed to become a coach. Now, when I first started this journey, I always say I spent my first year not making any money in my business. But I always say that my business started in 2016 as well. But technically, I really started in August of 2015. I hit the ground running. I published 3 books and just thought that, because they said if you're going to show you're an authority, you should write books. I figured out how to self-publish and all of that stuff, but I didn't really understand what it meant to build a business and begin to understand what it meant to market online and to do live video and to create, lead generation machines and all of that shit until 2016. So that's why I always say my business didn't really start until 2016, because I had started doing things based off of what I had Googled versus began to do things based off of what came through mentorship, coaching programs, and things of that nature. Well, when I started, I had this amazing adrenaline rush and energy that was unlike anybody else's. And I did things as far as it pertains to marketing online that I would still challenge some of them that say, people be like, ain't nobody, go harder than me. Or have you ever heard the video with Will Smith talking about, I'll beat you on a treadmill or I'm going to die on it? I was that girl. And it wasn't even because I was comparing myself to anybody else or trying to beat anybody else, but I was so hungry that I didn't care what was happening in my life. I was going to make this coaching thing work, which meant that since there was one season where my husband finally got a job where he was able to handle all the bills, I was able to, just get out early in the morning, hustle a little bit on Uber to do a little contributing. But then I would come home and literally stay at my desk all day and, try to figure out how to use Infusionsoft. Nobody, please, if you've never invested in software or you're invested in software for CRM systems and you're like, oh, I should know, I don't use Infusionsoft anymore. You should not. It's more like the Cadillac. You stick to something simple, MailerLite, ActiveCampaign, Aweber, something like that. But anywho, and I worked for hours. I was doing a lot of stuff that didn't matter, trying to do green screen, make videos. I was trying to be on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of the damn platforms. And I was going hard. When I finally got another coach again that gave me some direction, then I really understood how to generate leads and I started doing summits. And we're talking about from July until the 1st of November, I launched 2 summits, wrote a book, and did a podcast episode that started on November the 6th. And from that day onward, I did a podcast episode every day. Mind you, I had a group that had grew to about 12 people. I had about 4 or 5 one-to-one clients. I just had a lot of stuff going on, but I was going. And even going into 2018, people would see me on live videos. I would be doing them 2-3 times a day. And not because I had said, I challenged myself to do a video every day or anything like that. It's just the point that I was like, I got to be at the top of mind. I'm going to get out here. I'm going to hustle. And there was a lot going on, from being displaced, deciding to leave Houston because of Hurricane Harvey, moving to a new city, still being in a place with no family support, starting to deal with some tension and frustration in my marriage. And I didn't make a difference. I was still pushing. And somewhere in the middle of that, the push popped to the degree that I was able to give my husband some rest by him not having to work, our identity and gender roles changing in the marriage, him doing more with the kids, and me, doing more with the business. And I was pushing through all of that, and I learned so much. And it built me. It built my character. I really had sympathy and empathy for the person who I would later hire to be my VA, because I knew what it looked like to play the role of being the social media strategist. It gave me wisdom and insight into what the journey was looking like and what was required. The clients that I was working with and what it looked like to push through and persevere. I was a motivator and an inspirer, especially for the people that had background information and knew what I was, enduring through. But that muscle of endurance as well as empathy, those are the things that were being built in my character while I was being more concerned about building my dream than working for somebody else. And so I put the energy that had to be put into working for somebody else, because that was short-lived with my husband not having to work. Eventually he would have to work some more, but just not as much. And I was still just on the grind with the summits and the books. The next year I would do 3 books in 90 days. And, still I just had so much going on. Well, those types of trials that I was going through, the personal issues, the displacement from natural disaster and things of that nature, that was a test that I had to endure through. Now, I keep on mentioning some things about me being in a rough season in my life right now, but I haven't given you all many details, but that's because the time is not now to give you that. But the season that I'm in right now, I did the unthinkable. Mrs. Go hard and, post on social media, keep in contact with your email list and all of that stuff actually pulled back drastically. And I chose rest. I chose just my morning walks and my meditation and serving the clients that I have, not putting myself under the pressure mentally to be creative enough to make copy. And yeah, I have copy. I just repurpose, honestly, and on occasions, I've still put some stuff out there where, people have seen old memories or videos, or maybe something might have hit me. And only if it hits me do I put it out there. But I fell back. Now, here's the thing. When you say rest, most people don't want to rest because rest means being still. And being still means that you have to actually look at the totality. Notice I said the totality of what's going on in your life. And that's scary because that means that you also have to pay attention to every emotion and every thought. You could be thinking that you're going to binge watch your favorite TV show, and all of a sudden you could I can't stand that motherfucker. Or, oh my God, these kids, they just get, who this boss at this job, and your mind begins to wander. Or you could find yourself, I'm getting tired of cooking and cleaning for these people. Don't nobody appreciate it. You begin to see what kind of resentments and anger or discomfort, anxiety, like all of those emotions that we don't want nothing to do with, because we're always talking like this love and light and just, I'm high vibration bullshit, instead of owning the fact that nobody can ever stay up in the clouds. I mean, eventually you won't be able to breathe. Come on down, bitch. Okay. All right. That was my little humor for the moment. But seriously, when you rest, then you have to deal with what is going on with you energetically. So it's still a test, and it's still a character builder. And so some of you may not be able to differentiate, right? Because you're like, yeah, I know it. I'm like you, August. I'm going hard. I'm marketing. I'm doing this, that, and the other. I'm pushing because I want this bad. Well, I literally was going because I could just feel something. It was light for me. It was even, I was aware of what was going on, but I made a lot of shit look easy because I had developed such an amazing muscle. Some of you may be doing the same thing as me, but you're doing it out of a space of desperation. I just got to make this business work. Versus me, I was in a space of determination. I knew that this business was going to work. So while you're trying to figure out like which space you're in, you got to ask yourself, like, am I ignoring the healing? Now, some of you, let me just throw this little caveat in here. Some of y'all rest too damn much. I don't mean rest as in be lazy. I don't mean rest as in you're not doing anything. In this season of resting, you have to deal with your shit. That means there are going to be some conversations and some relationships and some values that are going to come up. Your beliefs are going to be challenged. You may end up being, recalibrated to a whole nother other level. Some of y'all asses, you just got to realize it, like, you're just lazy. Matter of fact, you use your personal challenges that you want to call them tests. But it's really just your excuse to be like, yes, well, I did still post even though X, Y, Z happened. And I just had to fall back because, self-care is important to me. I'm not talking about that bullshit. I'm talking about being in a place where sometimes you could be so uncomfortable with your damn self. Not that you looking at everybody else and what everyone else has done and how things should be different, whether that is the system, these fake ass coaches, or, the man or your spouse or your kids. No, when you're in that place of rest, it's because you have to look at you. Just like when you're in that place of, activity and test, it is still about you and your endurance and what you're learning and your stamina. And so many of you, while you're building your business, you really don't get it. You got every excuse under the sun why you should rest when you need to actually test yourself and go through the activity. Some signs that you need to test yourself is the fact that maybe the reason why you don't want to do the activity is because you don't want to face the anxiety and the doubt that you feel, oh, I'm going to show up or I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. But whether it's your business or personal, how will they perceive me? People are going to judge me. Once again, you can see how at the core of all of this, it's still about that internal struggle. And what's going on inside of you, and why you're warring with actually facing your own demons about your opinions about what you feel. And so getting out there and doing the work is about you saying that, yeah, I have to be willing to fall. I have to be willing to fail. What's his name? Michael B. Jordan. There's a post that's circulating with him where he says he came out and admitted that even after what's the name of the show? I think it was The Wire or something like that, that he was on, that it was so successful, even though he had a prominent role. Sorry if I'm saying things a little bit exaggerated. I didn't watch the show. Don't nobody beat me up. I keep on hearing that I should have. But he said that he still had to get jobs like doing fast food. And a lot of you, your pride is too high, because I know you keep getting these highlight reels of people just talking about how they put it all on the line and there's no plan B. He didn't say he had a plan B. He just said he had shit he had to do to make sure plan A worked. And so many of you, your test, it isn't you staying on the job while you're building a business. I remember having a client and I was like, you can leave that job. You keep on using the job. But some of you all, your glory is in the gore of your story. Like some of you are addicted to the struggle. And I'm like, look, with your degree and with your experience, you could easily go get another job where you would have less responsibilities, still make the same kind of money. Or maybe what if you did make a little less? Adjust your lifestyle. See, people don't want to talk about that shit because the only thing they want to talk about is abundance. Yeah, okay. And she was so addicted to the abundance of that 6-figure job that she didn't want to create a place of rest for her to be able to build the business, because that job kept her busy. So the only thing she ever really had to think about was all her responsibilities, and made it difficult for her to think about creating copy. Man, I hope that this is hitting y'all. I think I'm going to stop right here because this is a lot. I want some feedback. I want some feedback on the things that came up for you guys. And then I'll decide when I'm going to do part 2 of the rest versus the test. And honestly, shit, this might end up turning into a whole damn series where I, because I'm revealing things to you all that became up for me. I happen to surrender to it. I got a former coach / friend named Stacy, and she and I talked. I said, girl, yeah, I know you be laughing at me if you heard me say this, out loud. So let me go ahead and let you laugh. I'm like, yeah, vacation, rest, be still, no work, no pressure, blah, 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 blah. Cause she's been on it, she's been on it, but that doesn't mean that she was right and I was wrong or vice versa. It just meant that there was something I had to go through for a season in my life. And that was something that she already figured out. I love her. She's a peer in the industry, but she's also somebody who was in it for like 6 or 7 years before me. So we were in different phases. I love her because she's just always respected me no matter what the journey. But I did. I finally am at that place where I was like, girl, I see what you're talking about. I know what you mean. And it was that time for me in that season. And so what I'm learning throughout this season, I just want to pass those nuggets on to you all because you need them too. So how about we see what got stirred up for you with this? And then you all on your respective platforms, comment. If you're on the email list, you hit me back, message me. I'm one of y'all, message me alone. That might end up coming a whole nother topic in Excel, but we need to talk about this. Because it's so easy for people to tell you to get out there and hustle. And even some of you may be doing the ads or whatever, but you're still hustling to get the money to get the ads to hurry up and hustle and get on as many calls because you're hustling for the business, but you're not really hustling for yourself. The common denominator in enduring the test of getting the rest was you. That's what I need you to look at, not the results of the business, but what is the results of your growth and your personal development. So yeah. I love y'all. Wo aini. I holla. Yes, thank you for tuning in to the Created Free podcast. But it ain't over yet, baby. Don't forget to head over to augustcrenshaw.com/gift and get your free case study. I'm hoping that you are realizing more and more how everything is connected, and this is impacting how your marketing muscle looks in your business, especially as it pertains to copy, video, and then also your sales muscle. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Share this episode with someone you know that needs it, and just stay tuned, and we'll be back to discuss another topic next week or whenever the hell I feel like it. All right, you all have a beautiful day. Deuces.